Hello guys and welcome back to another episode of our summer career mode here with Crystal Palace. We're returning today off the back of our disappointing defeat on the south coast to Bournemouth in the previous episode, which sees us drop to 7th place, and with a really tough run of fixtures to close out the season, I'm now starting to worry if we are going to make it into Europe this campaign. Loads of big games to come in today's episode, including Manchester City and Liverpool in the league, Newcastle and Manchester United as well, who are both in the hunt for European football, and Leicester in the FA Cup semi-finals, looking to reach the final for the first time since 2016. Loads of big games to come today, kicking off with Manchester City, where after no wins in our previous two games, we need to try and stop the rot and make sure that we don't lose back-to-back here. Come on, you Eagles. Yeah, as difficult as it's going to be here against Manchester City, I think we need to try and get a positive result. We've had back-to-back poor performances, that 2-2 draw in Nottingham at the City ground where we led twice and still failed to win, and then the 3-2 loss on the south coast to the Cherries at the Vitality, with that cup semi-final coming in just over a week's time. We've got Manchester City and Liverpool in that space, and I do not want to be going into that cup semi-final on the back of no wins in 4. Elise comes infield brilliantly. There's Doucouré now. Mateta. They see you, Eze. Oh, go on. Eberechi Eze! What a fantastic finish from the Englishman. Crystal Palace take a shock lead against Manchester City. And of course, it's the front three all involved. The dynamic front three. And Manchester City shell-shocked here in the capital. Of course, if we do qualify for Europe this season, then it will definitely help in terms of keeping some of our key players here. Yes, I do still expect some of them to depart as Eze fires the shot in. But if we can offer European football, then most of the players will probably want to stay unless they get offers from sort of the top 6 in the Premier League. And we've got off to a flyer here against Manchester City, and we lead by 1. This is good football from City with Grealish. And now Foden swings across to the edge. Haaland, wow, got hold of that. And Joachim Andersen takes it right in the chest. Oh, brilliant ball through the gap. Grealish into Alvarez in the middle, and there is the first save. Anywhere will do for Mitchell, but it's turned into a fabulous pass. Elise, Mateta, and Eze straight to Ederson. Oh, the dynamic front three on the counter could have sealed it. And the shot was straight at Ederson. He gets down again and makes another fantastic save to deny Mateta. Still we lead by 1. End to end this. Haaland into De Bruyne. Now it's Jeremy Doku. Swings the cross in. It's brilliant. Alvarez slams home the equaliser. Brilliant ball in from Jeremy Doku. And Alvarez coming in at the back post was never going to miss. 12 now to hold on to our point. Last chance for Manchester City, and Anderson does brilliantly. That is going to do it. Crystal Palace 1, Manchester City 1. Points dropped in the title race for Guardiola's side, but a vital point on the board for Crystal Palace. City had the better of the second half, and they did get a deserved equaliser. They were starting to up the pressure, but we do manage to hold on for the 1-1 draw, which is a fantastic result. Still no win in 3, but you've got to respect a point at home against the champions. So what does that do for the league table? You can see Aston Villa beat Brentford to remain in 5th. Chelsea jump up to 6th with a win at Bramall Lane. But Newcastle were held by Fulham, who they themselves probably still just about have an outside shot of Europe. Before we jump into our next game, we have got our final scouting updates from England, Scotland and Colombia. So we'll see if there is anyone making the cut. In this final month, they're going to have to be pretty good to make it. I think from England, we are going to give out a couple of scholarships. Arthur Poole is going to get one, 17-year-old winger. Pretty decent potential after 3 3 months worth of scouting. And just due to the fact I really want a keeper in the academy, we're going to give Elliot Pratt a scholarship as well. Only 1 month worth of scouting, so we'll see how he gets on over the next couple of months. But decent value and starting overall. But as for the rest of these guys, we are going to turn them all away. Pretty similar story from Scotland. We are going to give 1 scholarship. Ian Mackay, 2.3 market valuation with a pretty high potential after 2 months worth of scouting. As for the rest of these guys, no one really standing out to me, so we're gonna let them all walk, including Malcolm McPherson, the man with a wonderful name. I'm sorry, Malcolm, but we're gonna let him go. And as for Colombia, unfortunately, no one going to make it. We've not had much luck from Colombia, and this is how the Youth Academy is looking. I do think quite a few of these guys will get scholarships next season, and then we'll look to loan them out. The guys at the top here looking very good. That will do it for the youth scouting until next season. Got some good young talents, and we will look to loan quite a few of them out next summer. But jumping into our next game, it is the league leaders Liverpool. Deadlocked on 76 points with Man City, but they do have 2 games in hand, including this one here at Anfield. But for us, we also have a couple of games in hand. Aston Villa drew away at the Emirates, whilst Chelsea lost at home to Everton. So a win here could see us jump into 7th and close the gap on Aston Villa to just 1 point. Tough game away at Anfield though. And again, like with Manchester City, I would take a point out of this one. Come on, you Eagles. So I'm sure Man City will be wanting a favour from us today, especially after we've just taken 2 points off them at Selhurst Park. We have got the Cup semi-final to come on the weekend, so yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the fatigue of the team, but such a big game, we've got to just go for it and take each game as it comes. Into Wataru Endo, ball through to Mo Salah, top scorer in the Premier League. And Dean Henderson has to get gloves on it. That was travelling for that top corner. Looking for goal 30 of the season, Salah. Let's cut back there to Joe Gomez. Thiago through the gap. Brilliant ball, and Nunez opens the scoring. Brilliant ball through by the Spaniard, the now retired Spaniard. And showing that he's still got life in the old bones. Through to Darwin Nunez. Liverpool lead. Mitchell keeps it alive for Mateta. I see you, Doucouré. I see you. And Elise surely for the equaliser. Brilliant move just before the break. Crystal Palace back on level terms. And it's Michael Elise, the Frenchman, with the goal. Well, Crystal Palace trying to have a big say in the title race this season. Just held Manchester City at home. And now, a bit of an upset away at Anfield as we equalise against Liverpool. But I'm sure that Klopp would have got into them at half-time. And, well, they'll need a better response. But here goes Mateta. Van Dijk coming across. Mateta hits it early. And Alisson forced into the save. We've got a bit of encouragement here. And that is going to do it at Anfield. Back-to-back 1-1 draws. But against the 2 best teams in the division this season. The Liverpool fans not happy maybe with their team's performance. I'm not too sure. But a couple of boos ringing around Anfield. They will move a point clear. Still with a game in hand over Manchester City. But we've just done Guardiola's side a big favour. So before we head into this Cup semi-final, I was hoping to resolve this in the summer, but the board have just come to me regarding David Ozo and his wage demands. So we will sit down with him and discuss a new contract. And as we do agree a new contract for David Ozo, 13 appearances for the first team this season, and he signs a new 4-year contract on a slightly increased wage to £2,500 a week. But jumping into the FA Cup semi-final here, we take on a Championship Leicester City as we look to reach the final, where with none of the big boys remaining, we have got an outside shot at potentially lifting the FA Cup in our first season with the club. Still work to be done. Got to win the semi-finals first and our first trip to Wembley in the save. Come on, you Eagles. So we're underway here at Wembley. I don't think our youngster Zach Hurst is starting for Leicester, but I think he is in the matchday squad. And, you know, I said it when we faced Southampton in the Carabao Cup. It feels like we're playing a Premier League team here. Leicester City have a fantastic team. Won the championship, of course, in real life. So, yeah, I'm expecting a really tough game. But we should be favourites. And if we can win here and progress to the final, that will be a major achievement for the club. Zeta Hughes now. Doucouré. Fired into Elise. I see you, Edouard. Edouard fires it wide. Big chance for the Frenchman. He's been so reliable in front of goal. Ball given away again by Leicester. A few times already in this first half they've done so. Guehi steps into midfield. There's Edouard. And this time Crystal Palace do have the lead. Odsonne Edouard at the second time of asking. It does hit the target and finds the back of the net. And Crystal Palace lead at Wembley. Well, Leicester City, masters of their own downfall in that first half. Gave the ball away a few times and led to chances. And that's where the goal came from. Poor ball across the pitch. Guehi stepped out into midfield and one pass and we're in on goal. Edouard with the finish, and the Championship side with some work to do if they are to find a route back into this. We've been pretty comfortable. I do think if we get a second goal, it may be curtains for Leicester. And Eze looks for Edouard. Lovely move. Edouard! It's magic! Odsonne Edouard does it again in the FA Cup. Crystal Palace lead by 2. And I think that might be too much of a mountain to climb for Leicester City. Lovely passing move. Eze to Edouard. And the finish is fantastic as the goalkeeper, Mads Hermansen, starts to come off his line. Crystal Palace lead by 2. And we've got 1 foot in the final. There is the whistle. Crystal Palace into the FA Cup final. We've been very lucky along the way with the draws that we've received. EFL sides, the whole route, and we've not faced a Premier League side in either cup competition this season. We were knocked out by Norwich in the Carabao Cup, but we have made it to a surprise FA Cup final, and we will be heading back to Wembley. Let's see if it's Aston Villa or maybe another cup set and it'll be Borough in the final. Well, for some bizarre reason, the FA Cup semi-finals are both played on the same day, so we'll find out who it is that we will face. It is Aston Villa. Beat Middlesbrough by 2-1. I find that really funny. Imagine being at Wembley. They've got 90,000 fans in the stadium, and then they've got to clear them all out and get 90,000 different fans back in for a second kickoff. Utterly ridiculous, but still, EA for you. But jumping into our next game, massive clash here against Newcastle. Still so tight for European football. You've got some teams who have now played more games than others. Ourselves, Newcastle and Villa all on 32. We're 3 points behind both of them. So a win here will see us draw level 1 points with Newcastle. Big game at Selhurst Park. Come on, you Eagles. Guimaraes out to Miguel Almiron. Dispossessed by Nathaniel Klein, who does well, but then overruns it. Morata. Trouble here is the Spaniard. Oh, what a brilliant reverse pass. And Newcastle take the lead. Miguel Almiron fires in the opener, but it's a mistake from Nathaniel Klein in today. Overruns his touch, gives the ball away, and that's a huge goal for Eddie Howe's side. Game's starting to open up now. Oh, brilliant ball. Dean, can you get there? No, he's not. It's 2. Miggy Almiron doubles up. I'm not watching him run over to Eddie Howe again, for fuck's sake. Newcastle lead by 2, and this is going from bad to worst for Crystal Palace. And it's all over here. Eddie Howe can celebrate as he inches ever closer to getting his side back into Europe for next season. And it's a poor run of form for Crystal Palace. I think that's just 1 win in our last 5 or possibly 6 games with that that victory at Wembley. Heading into the final run-in this season, Palace not in very good form, and we need to turn it around in our final 5 if we are to finish in the top 7. Huge game here then as we take on Fulham, the rank outsiders to finish in a European place. They'd have to go on a great run between now and the end of the season, but for us we need to get back to winning ways. 6-point gap now to Aston Villa and Newcastle, and 4 behind Chelsea, but we do have the game in hand. Need to return to winning ways. Come on, you Eagles. Again, this is a really big game for us here. Fulham need a win to keep any hopes that they have of European football alive, but for us, I think it's no wins in 6 and a really poor run of form. Oh, I see you at the back post. Oh, it's not going to reach Mateta. Yeah, need to get back to winning ways to try and get our hunt for European football back on track. Into Whittaker, in for Elise, who is just too fatigued to start today. Wharton into Mateta, back to Wharton. Mateta again, looks to spin Ream, does brilliantly. Mateta, what a brilliant goal! And of course it would be him, Jean-Philippe Mateta, with another in the Premier League. Gahey down the line to Eze, nice feet. Now Mateta back to Ebere Eze. He's got the pace on Tim Ream all day long. Eze racing away and finishes it off for 2. Brilliant goal on the counter. And the Fulham captain, Tim Ream, mate, it's time to retire. Head back to the States. You've just been absolutely rinsed for both of our goals here today. But on this occasion, Eze, just the raw pace gets him away from the Fulham skipper. We lead by 2, and we should be returning to winning ways here. I've given away. Andreas Pereira through to Furuhashi. What a strike. The former Celtic man on the score sheet. And Fulham back in the game. And maybe I'm counting my chickens too early here. Targeting Tim Ream. Wharton into Ebere Eze. Didn't quite get hold of it. And Leno had to get down low to his right-hand side to make the stop. Eze will come across to take the corner. Looking for Mateta. Now Doucouré from range. He can hit them. Edouard over the top for Rak-Sakyi. In behind. Surely for 3. And that's game. Jessarin Rak-Sakyi with his first in the Premier League. Rounds off the move for Crystal Palace. Fulham had to send bodies forward. That is probably the end of their hunt for European football, as Rak-Sakyi keeps our hopes alive with the dagger here. Big game here against Manchester United. They look like they're out of the race for European football, so not much to play for. But a win for us against the Red Devils would see us go level on points with Aston Villa, depending on their result away at the Amex. Hoping for our M23 rivals to do us a favour there, and a big win at Selhurst needed. Come on, you Eagles. A chance here to really take the game to them and try and continue our decent little mini run of form now that we're back to winning ways. Elise swings the corner in. Mateta's under it, and it comes off the top of the crossbar and bounces out for the goal kick. Gahey into Wharton. And through for Eze in behind. Eze tries his luck. Oh, what a hit. He has been in fantastic form to close out the season. Ebere Eze does it again, as he did on the road at Fulham. Just absolutely smashes it into that far corner to give Palace a deserved lead in the opening 20 minutes. Still always a threat, Manchester United. Strike comes in from the edge, and I think Dean saw it all the way, but still had to get gloves on it and push it away. Corner does go short. Fernandes to the edge of the box. Back to Bruno Fernandes. Oh, what a save, Dean. Goal at the Amex. Who's it for? Brighton lead. That's exactly what we needed from that game. Thank you very much, Brighton. Doing us a favour and taking the lead against Villa. A brilliant ball. And across the box for Elise. Big save. Well, there is the whistle. And we couldn't find the second goal, but it does not matter in the end. As I said, that is a real case of one team having something to play for. Manchester United knowing they're not going to make Europe, stuck in mid-table, and us, well, we knew we had to win today with the teams above us continuing to win and pulling away. I think Aston Villa did fall to defeat away at the Amex unless they managed a late fight back. So that could see us jump ahead of them into 7th place. Massive win here at Selhurst. So those back-to-back wins do see us jump into 7th place. Villa on a really tough run of form, and we do have to play them in our final 3. I'm going to try and squeeze all 3 into today's episode. We've got our final away day of the season up next away at Molineux to take on Wolves, who have nothing to play for down at the bottom half of mid-table. We then face West Ham at home in a similar position to Wolves, and then the big one against Aston Villa at Selhurst Park on match day 38. I think we might have enough to finish in 7th, but I don't see us catching Chelsea and Newcastle from here. Final 3 games, starting with Wolves away. Come on, you Eagles. Well, second half underway here. Chelsea leading at the break, but Newcastle losing at home to Brighton, which will, of course, have some ramifications. I thought heading into this one, it would probably be our easiest of the 3, as Wolves have nothing to play for. Sat in 15th place, they're not going to go down, but they're too far away from making a push for European football. So I thought this would probably be our easiest, but really struggled in that first half. Nothing created for either side, and we do really need to go on and try and find a winner with us having something to play for, unlike our hosts. I mean, you can see the stats in the top left there. Really poor game so far. Here goes Elise through the gap to Eze. He's been in such fine form, Eberechi Eze. And he notches up again. 3rd game in a row for Eberechi Eze on the score sheet. And finally, Crystal Palace do have the breakthrough. Need to make sure that we win our next 2 as a minimum and see how we stand going into that final day against Aston Villa. Well, we finally got the breakthrough here in Wolverhampton, and it's Eberechi Eze once again with the goal. Well, there is the whistle here at Molineux. Not a very good game. Eberechi Eze's goal, the only real highlight of the game, but we do come away victors. 1 down 2 to go in the Premier League, and we'll turn our attentions to the visit of West Ham. Both of our league games remaining do come at Selhurst Park, so we end our away season with a victory. Let's go and have a look how the table looks heading into the final 2. So heading into our penultimate game of the season, Aston Villa did fall to defeat to Liverpool by 3 goals to 2. So we're now 3 points clear of them with a better goal difference. Newcastle just 3 ahead of us as they face Manchester United. So a chance to potentially move into 6th place. Big game against West Ham here. Penultimate game of the season. Come on, you Eagles. Well, it's been a nice little run of form for Palace. 3 wins on the trot and back-to-back clean sheets as well. And with West Ham coming to take us on here. Eze! Oh, it's 4 in as many games for Eberechi Eze. What a strike. West Ham coming to take us on here. They themselves kind of deadlocked in mid-table. Nothing really to play for, whereas we, of course, do. Ayew fizzes the ball into Eze. Hits it low and hard past Alphonse Areola. And his little run-in towards the end of the season is making me worry that there's going to be big interest in the summer. Eberechi Eze with another. Palace lead again. Corner for Palace. Will Hughes outswinging delivery. Edouard under it is 2. It's 2. West Ham a little bit on the beach and asleep from the corner. Odsonne Edouard doubles our lead, and that should be enough to see us through to the final whistle. Well, that is going to do it here at Selhurst Park. Penultimate game of the season is 4 wins on the trot for Crystal Palace as we hunt down European football for Season 2. We'll go into that game against Villa, I think, with a 4-point lead over them, unless they found a late winner at home to Bournemouth. But we did all the hard work in the first half here and just controlled the game in the second. West Ham were on the beach. Palace eyeing up European football. So let's take a look at the results. And oh wow, Villa have bottled it. Villa have bottled it. They're now 6 points behind us, so they cannot make 7th place as they lost at home to Bournemouth on matchday 37. 1 point separating Newcastle, Chelsea and Crystal Palace, as all three of us are vying for 5th place. So tight, and I'm hoping one of them slips up. Who have they got? Chelsea are at home to Bournemouth, should be a banker. Newcastle away against Brentford, which again should be a banker. Lots still to play for, jumping into the final game of the season. Come on, you Eagles. So heading into the final day of the season, lots of different scenarios that could play out, but Villa have been absolutely tanking it recently, completely fallen off. Hang on. Oh, Mitchell denied by Emi Martinez. Yeah, they've been completely tanking it, so I'm actually feeling pretty confident of getting the job done here. A dress rehearsal for the FA Cup final to come in around about a week's time. Oh, brilliant touch. And Mitchell now racing away through the centre. Mitchell finds Elise, turn away. Corner for Crystal Palace here. Elise comes out to take it. Looking for Mateta! Heads on, and Crystal Palace lead at Selhurst Park. Villa have been in poor form, as we mentioned, and they look as if they're falling to another defeat here. Dress rehearsal of the FA Cup final, and Crystal Palace take first blood. Eze. Oh, nice turn. Doucouré. Back to Ebere. Eze! It's 2, and that will surely do it. Crystal Palace going to win on match day 38. And that might be enough to send us into next season's Europa League. Lovely 1-2 with Doucouré. Eze finishes it off. 5 in his last 5 for the Englishman. Well, that's going to do it here at Selhurst Park. 5 wins in 5 to close out the Premier League campaign. A fantastic run for Crystal Palace, which has seen us qualify for Europe next season. The question is, what competition are we going to be in? Is it going to be the Europa League or the Conference League for the Eagles? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Also good to get one over on Aston Villa, who will face again in a week's time in the FA Cup final. They themselves in terrible form, us in fantastic form heading into that game. So one final look at the league table, and you can see Crystal Palace managed to sneak into 6th place in the end. So I believe that means we will play Europa League football next year. 19 wins, so winning exactly half of our games, 11 draws and just 8 defeats. I think we had the best defensive record. Yeah, best defence in the league, but the one of the lowest scorers with just 49 goals. Manchester City do win another Premier League title. That's 4 in a row for Man City, even though they drew on the final day. Liverpool also bottled it at home to Wolves. Spurs finish in 3rd, and Arsenal wrap up the Champions League places. Newcastle win on the final day to finish in 5th. Palace 6th and Chelsea in 7th. Villa completely bottled it, finished quite a way off those European places, and Fulham and United wrap up the top half. As for the bottom 3, it is Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest and Luton going down to the Championship. And we see Mo Salah winning the Premier League Golden Boot, 5 clear of Erling Haaland with 31 goals. Jean-Philippe Mateta finished in 6th place, reaching 20 goals in just 32 appearances. The assist title was won by Man City's Phil Foden, but it was Michael Elise in 3rd with 11 in 33, averaging an assist in every 3 games. And it was our shot stopper Dean Henderson who won the Golden Glove. We were very good at the back this year, 17 clear of Pope and Vicario, who both had 10, and averaging just under 1 in every other game for Dean Henderson. But guys, that is where we will leave it for today's episode, the finale of Season 1, or Part 1 of the finale, as we'll be back in the next one to close out the season with a full look at the save, including the European competitions, the other leagues, and of course a final look at the squad, as we will play Aston Villa at Wembley for for the FA Cup final. I'll catch you for that in the next episode, guys, as we will close out our first season here with Crystal Palace. And peace.